everyone, this is Ben with PARCO Studio in San Francisco. We're back again this week to take a further look at our Marin County home project. This is a house that my family and I are developing for ourselves. It'll be a pretty modest home on about 0.4 of an acre and no more than 1,500 square feet for sure, probably less than that. The past few weeks we've looked at the land itself. We looked at some conceptual site plans and sort of a site analysis, if you will. We last week looked at some preliminary plans for the home and how it might sit on the site, and even what that kind of major cross-section through the home might be like and how that relates to the views across the valley and beyond. This week we're diving into a pretty simple computer 3D model. We're using Sketchup, which is at its basic level is a free software. There's a pro version which gives you a little more capabilities. There are for sure much more sophisticated tools out there to do this sort of work. I tend to like SketchUp as a beginning conceptual modeling tool, and then we can step it up as the design gets more solidified and codified and we're really sure which direction we're going into. To me, at that point, it's time to step into some more sophisticated tools and do maybe some photorealistic renderings and that sort of work. But at this early stage, I like SketchUp. It's super fast and easy to use and easy to just really play around with and test ideas out with. So we're going to get into that model. We're going to do a fly-through around the home from the air and a walk-through where we're looking really at, what's it like to be inside the home and the various rooms and spaces, and we can see the views beyond, and then we'll see how that feels. One of the things we haven't really explored yet is what are the root systems for these big Doug fir trees doing on the site. We obviously can't let our foundation or our basement parking interfere with those roots because that could mean these trees dying, and so the home may need to shift. It may even need to start to change shape and configuration, and so I'm seeing this initial conceptual design as one of potentially many that we explore. And the idea is that we explore them kind of at not quite at a surface level, a little bit deeper than that, but at a level where we get to see what's possible, what are the advantages and disadvantages of these various designs, and then kind of test them up against other site conditions, views and orientation and solar access and some of these other considerations that we'll want to be paying attention to. And then what will happen is some of them might just fall out because they just are non-starters because of one factor or another. So I'm trying not to be attached to this design, although I like it a lot for a number of reasons, but I think we're going to have to test some others out, and so we'll be back to discuss those at a later date. For now, let's just get into it. We'll move around the model and see what this design offers, and we'll go from there. So here we're approaching the building from the south, and we're wrapping around to the west face, which again is pretty glassy because this is really where most of our natural daylight's going to come from. As we come around to this side, you can see there's a big deck on the west side, also meant to capture a lot of daylight. And then we're going to approach from, say, where the driveway and garage are, as if we're coming out of a car and coming up the front steps to that deck. And that deck really leads to the entry of the home, which will be somewhere around here. It's not really articulated yet. You can see we really enter into the kitchen dining area, and then a couple steps down and we're in the living room, and then out onto, again, that deck that looks to the north. If we turn around and walk back toward the south, we're walking back through the dining room, through the kitchen, through that bathroom core element, and into the master bedroom, which again will look out into the forested side of the site on the south side. Transitioning up to the loft, which is basically a long, almost catwalk, which will be our office space. And if you once you're sitting down in that space, which is this position, you can see how you're going to really have some fantastic views to the north across the valley. And if we pan out the side of the house, we're now looking at the back of that big roof and spinning around to the front where you can see again that deck cantilevering past the front facade. So what I've done next is to create some solar studies to see how sun tracks across the site and through the home at different parts of the year and at different times of day. And so we begin with the spring equinox, where we look at the morning and noon and afternoon. And then we move to the summer morning, summer noontime, and afternoon. Obviously a lot more light here. And then we move towards the fall equinox, again morning, noon, and afternoon, a lot less light. And finally the winter, where we're pretty shaded most of the time, morning, noon, and afternoon. And as we rotate around, again you see the major elements are this big deck, this entry stair, the stair volume vertically that runs along the outside of the house to get between the floors, and the shape of the home. So there's sort of 4 primary architectural elements that this composition is made up of.